Flight of the orbiter Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower.
Let's go out and have fun.
Roger that, Sally.
Hey. Well, hello. Hi. For those of you watching, I'm not a techie person, and I scheduled early, and there's rules about going too early or too late. So this is new to me. So thank you guys for being patient. Tim, thank you for being patient. Tonight, hello. Tonight is a rough night because we're going to be talking about grieving, and we're going to be talking about loss. And before we go into too much, I have something little that I prepared for you. All right. So for those of our viewers, it's going to be sappy, but as we discuss what brought us to this topic tonight, now everybody has a beautiful idea.
Well, thank you for doing that. I don't know if people can hear me. I'm probably not going to be as loud as I usually am tonight, but obviously I need to start out the show by talking about it. I knew last week when we were doing the show that that Molly was not going to be long for this world. I didn't say anything about it, but she had started to have some really horrible issues with standing and walking, and just would fall. Seemed to get very fatigued and then just fall over. Took her in for a nail trim last Monday. Got her nails did one last time. And they took some blood there, and I was waiting on the results, but it became more and more evident that I needed to do what was right for her. Had Creature Comforts come in, and I helped her cross over on Thursday night. She was surrounded by family. My mom and my stepdad were here, and Ray was in the room, and Bo was in the room. And I recommend these people to anybody that are going through what I went through a week ago. They were very gentle, they were loving, and gave me all the time I needed. And it was just peaceful. I got to say everything I ever wanted to Molly, and only when I was ready did they administer the final dose. And I got to hold her. I felt her last breath, which is incredibly difficult. But she was with her dad, and that's the way it's supposed to be. I missed her terribly. I got some wonderful messages from people like Deb and Michelle and yourself, and that have reassured me that Molly's with her boy, Murray was there waiting, and that gives me peace.
Well, he's the big dog. No pun intended.
That gives me peace that she's well taken care of and she's happy. Today or yesterday, I'm sorry, I actually got an email from my vet with test results. Far too late, but with test results that indicated that Molly had significant kidney disease.
And how old was she again?
She was 13.
Okay.
So she lived a good life. I only had her for 3 years, and that's my only regret. Is that I didn't get more time with her. But she was a beautiful girl. As you can see by a lot of the pictures that you shared, she wasn't much for smiling.
She was for sleeping, laying around.
She didn't have that trademark smile that Murray did, but she loved everybody and wanted so badly to be a good girl and never had an issue with her. I feel guilty now because of all the times that Ray would start barking and Molly would start barking at something that she didn't know when I was telling Molly she needs to shut her mouth. And now I wish I could go back and just let her go. But no, she gave me 3 fantastic years.
Go ahead.
And I, like I said, I wish I could have gotten more. Leading up to it, I was a wreck. I was an absolute wreck. Just the anticipation of the whole thing. And once it was done, it was weird. There was just peace. There was this calm. And in my heart, I did the right thing. But then a few days after, you're thinking, oh my God, did I kill my dog? But getting the word from the vet and knowing that she was, so much more sick than she was letting on, made me feel like I had done what was right for her. So,
you knew before.
The last thing I whispered into her ear was, "I will love you forever."
So, whose idea was it to do this topic tonight?
It was.
I think originally I think I put we're gonna welcome fall, y'all, and this takes the cake.
But I think I needed to address it for people that follow me with photographs and know the story of Molly. And 3 years ago I went to an event in Michigan. Kim Scarrett brought Molly with her, and the rest is history. 3 beautiful years. I got a hold of Kim and I let her know what happened. And Kim thanked me for giving Molly a great home. And tonight's not just about Molly. Tonight's about grieving in general, though, and how we deal with it, and the things that trigger emotions in us, and the fact that we're never really done grieving.
No. And I am, if you don't mind, I'm going to, for all of the viewers, whether it's live or recorded for you, Tim, for myself, I just want to take a little moment. And I do want to call in all healing and alignment, all healing and aligned energies of the highest of love, which ultimately is why most of us grieve, because at some point, somewhere, there is always great love there. And I ask for divine peace, divine soothing, comprehension, allowing, and love. I ask for that. And I ask for divine assistance in that, because hurting and grieving sometimes is so personal and so isolating that we need divine help to get us through it. So I just ask for that this evening, and I ask that each of you are willing to receive with much gratitude. Okay. Grieving and loss, unfortunately, a very real, ugly part of life. I'm looking at some of the comments here. Yeah, some days are crap. Yeah, Smokey. You know, I love what I do. I love when I'm able to connect to Smokey and Molly. But let me tell you, it sucks. It sucks. And that's what people don't understand. When I'm doing readings and your grandmother comes through and you fall apart, I mean, as beautiful and as shocking as that is, it's like, oh my God, that's God. It doesn't bring them back. And I think it's so important that we really hold space for ourselves compassionately to not only grieve for ourselves, but just to grieve with each other. There's a lot of loss going on right now. I was reading a study earlier today where they were saying the 5 different types of loss. The biggest are the loss of a loved one, divorce, job, the loss of a pet. I know Danielle, just jumping up, she misses her husband. I've got Teresa, who is having a hard time right now with her papa. Tom, I'm so terrified about losing my girl. She'll be 15 in 2 months. You know, for the people who don't understand how those of us can be parents to fur children or full-blown parents to adopted children, 4 legs or 2, it doesn't have to take your biological connection to be that living being's parent. Love is love. Animals know love. Children know love. And I know some people are watching this tonight like, oh, I can't do this. Well, there's a reason I don't like to go to funerals. So if you ever invite me and someone I love, unless it's immediate family, I probably will decline because it hurts. It hurts. So my heart is with all of us right now that are experiencing a loss. You know, and you still put on a whole event, the bowling event, with all this going on, and you still raised over $4,000.
We did, and we did it for her. You know, it wasn't, you know, it was still, you know, Murray's legacy, but there was a lot of talk of Molly and how much we wanted to make it a success because of her. And, you know, she's up there with her king. And,
yeah. Were his hips bad at the end?
Yeah.
Okay, well, just so you know, he did a little like hip leg action when you said king. Because he could do it. Look, and she wants none of it from him. It's almost just like, please, you're doing this here too? Like, come on. Aaron says, my job is so hard. Aaron is a hospital manager, a veterinary hospital. So there's that. They live in our hearts, can never forget. Julie is Molly's grandma. Gail, fur babies are so incredibly amazing. Oh my God, unconditional love. And I'm not saying they're not sassy or a pain in the butt, but absolute unconditional love. In fact, I think that's why most of us are on this show tonight. We are connected to animals in one way or another. Yeah, a full parent no matter what. Amen, Deb. Kelly. Hello, Kelly. I still feel the pain of losing 5 rescued Danes and a young cat. The pain eases, but it never goes away. Yeah. So Scroobing an empath tonight for all of us, Mr. Maile. How soon after they pass can we try to reach out? Great question. It really depends on your loved one. Sometimes they get from the car to the house in 5 minutes. Sometimes they get from the car to the house in an hour. I mean, it really is. Death is such a personal, intimate experience, as is birth. And each experience is as unique as there are living beings.
If you can hear the noise outside of my office here, my neighbors are having Tuesday night fun night.
Oh boy, I don't know how to interpret that.
Well,
Playing cards, or are we hibbity dibbity?
They really like their beer.
Oh,
And
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They're not bad people. I just long for winter when they go inside.
Well, they could put their beer cans in the snow. I've learned, not that I've done that, but I've learned that with the snow, since Texas had the blizzard of 2020, 21, literally. Yeah, I wear Daisy's ashes around my neck. Daisy was the name of my Springer Spaniel that I rescued. Oh, I don't like to remember that just because they show up immediately. That sucks, All right. Jenny says, I can't hear him. What do you mean, Jenny? You can't hear us? Oh, you can't hear the neighbors. Thank you for clarification. Yeah, I can't hear anything either. All right, guys. I don't mean to be all gross and crying and snotty on air, but Tim does that to people. He does. I mean, and I mean that in the most warmest of ways. You bring people together because of this. This is real. I know our name is Escape Reality, but really, since we've started, we've done nothing but dive the hell in the shit.
We have, and
we really have.
Different topic every week, and we have a few people that have followed us from week to week to week to week, and we thank them for that. One of these weeks we'll do a fun show, but yeah, I mean it's. Yeah, I needed to address the Molly. I don't want to say thing because that kind of dismisses it, but honestly, it covers all types of grief. I mean, I can tell you right now, there's certain things I talk about with my dad, and my dad has been gone, 1990. He'll be gone 31 years in November.
Wow.
And I'll still cry. That pain never goes away. And honestly, for me, the way my brain works,
amen, Deb.
I feel like if it ever did go away, that I'd be doing a disservice to my father. I don't ever want to not miss him. I don't ever want to not wish he was here. The day I say, okay, I'm done grieving and things are good and let's move forward, I think I'd be pretty embarrassed by that. But in, like, day-to-day things, I can talk about my dad and remember things, but then something will come along and it'll trigger a memory, and the next thing my eyes are watering up and I'm telling him how much I love him and miss him. That's, I will say this. I used to talk to my dad all the time. And then Murray passed and it shifted, and I talked to Murray all the time. And now I find myself telling Murray to give Grandpa a hug for me. Tell Grandpa I love him. But I spend 95% of my time trying to communicate with Murray and about 5 with my dad. And I think Dad understands.
Oh, he's got Murray, so he's fine. He's fine. Because of what I do, I am actually around death a lot, whether it's a paranormal case that's legitimate or working with clients, or I'm always aware of death. And because of that, I've noticed a pattern, which is the stages of grief and things that trigger us emotionally. We can be fine for years. And that is the thing about grief, is that too is also so individual to each of us. I've seen some people go through all of the emotions in one day, feel in acceptance and able to move forward, and 6 years later go right into full anger. And I think that's because I don't believe any of us could truly be completely done with grieving. Not when love changed us, not when someone or something changed us.
I got a message from Deb over the weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe it was even Friday already, where she described...
oh, yes, Deb. Great way of putting that. I'm sorry, Tim.
Where she described Murray and Molly and a bunch of dogs And Murray and Molly were kind of the head of the pack, and she described some of the other dogs, and one of them was Sasha, a 13-year-old lab that I had for 11 months. I
Oh,
adopted her at 13 and had her for 11 months, and she passed away. And she took such a huge part of my heart with her. And to know that she's with the pack was pretty cool. It was pretty amazing. So, yeah,
well,
it's just,
we travel in soul clusters,
yeah.
and that
So,
extends to lizards and fur babies.
yeah, there'll be no lizards in my soul cluster. I can promise you.
Did you say soul cluster or slow cluster?
So,
Soul, yeah.
no lizards in my cluster, please.
um, Sometimes we don't get the option. I think that just love saves us. When it shows up, it just does. It's pretty powerful. Deb is right. Grief is love. Therefore, it doesn't go away. You can't create something and be a part of something that has been created and then expect it to disappear. Can't happen. I'm not trying to make those of us who are grieving hopeless, but Melody Beattie wrote a book called The Grief Club, and there was a website called the Grief Club I think it's griefclub.net. And she says in the book and on the website, welcome to the club. It's a club that none of us choose to be a part of, wish to be a part of. So, I think grief is just as important of an emotion as is love and joy. We could do without it, but I don't think we can't come this far without going through it. Sometimes I wish Deb was on here because I think she could finish certain sentences I have.
I think if people haven't joined the grief club, then they might not be human.
Right.
It's a little difficult to get through life without caring about something enough that it saddens you when they pass. And if that's the case, then you really need to open up your heart and start living. But part of adopting a senior dog is knowing the fact that they're not going to be with you for very long.
Yeah.
And that's I've done that now with Sasha and with Molly, and with Molly for 3 years, and that was fantastic. And I wish I could walk out of the office tonight and she'd be sitting out there laying there farting like she was last week, but that wasn't to be. But she got to go out knowing love. So my message for people that don't want to adopt an older dog because of the pain is that little bit of pain that you go through is well worth giving them love for the remaining years of their life. So a lot of people have asked me if I'm going to go and get another dog, and the answer is no. I had Murray and I for almost 6 years. Oh, 5 years, I guess. 5 years. And there was an unmistakable bond there. And I want to make that with Ray. I want it to be her and Dad, and I want her to know that she's my number one. And we're going to build memories. We're going to make memories. And we got some work to do. I took her out to get something to eat tonight, and she barked at everybody that walked by, including the people that brought us our food. So,
Yeah.
but we'll get there. And but I think there will come a time when I will adopt a senior dog. It has to be the right one, and I'll know when that time is. And
Yep.
Just like Ray gets compared to Murray constantly. Any senior dog that comes along is going to get compared to Molly and Sasha, and that's probably not fair to them either. But I had the opportunity to have two fantastic senior dogs, and by the time Murray left us, he was also a senior dog, but I had him as almost in his entire life. And I don't think of him as a senior dog. I think of him as as my boy from the ground up. And that's what we're going to do with Ray. She's my little girl, and we're going to look back 12 or
Thank
14
God.
years later.
Ray, you're my little boy from the ground up. You got to get into all the girly things. This is this, hold on one second. This is how old was Ray in that picture with Molly where they're both on the couch?
Just by looking at it and guessing, she was probably about a year.
She grew very fast.
She did. She was a puppy. She was a tiny little puppy for about a month. And then,
Yes.
And then she blew up. But
Then she blew up.
some of the photos I have of her and Ray when they were when Ray was very, very, very small are so adorable. And those are the ones that I'll cherish, because leading up to getting Ray and bringing her home, I kept telling Molly that I was getting her a baby.
Oh.
I said, Molly, I'm bringing you home a baby. And when I brought her home, Molly treated her like her baby, and followed her around and cleaned her and taught her how to do things. And she took that job very seriously. And she was so gentle with her. And I promised Ray tonight that she wouldn't have to go in the kennel during the show. So if you hear a few things, it's Ray. She's out there chewing on a bone, and she's enjoying life and not being in a kennel. So
Sweet thing. Yeah, your animals, all animals are special. And when you're an empath, you can't, there's different kinds of empathy, empathic individuals. And animal empaths, you're going to absorb the exact emotions of other living beings, which can be very difficult when we are out and about and there's nothing but living beings everywhere. For the empaths watching, I know someone had a question, is there a secret? Because you have to understand, when you are feeling the exact emotions of other living beings, and some highly sensitive people will understand this too, you're going to feel, and it's painful, especially if it isn't yours. So I would say the best thing that you can do is take care of your inner empath. Do things for your inner empath, soothe, nurture, make sure you're breathing, grounding. There's lots of great stuff of stuff online. Karen also had a Molly that passed. Miss Ray. Oh, Miss Ray. Oh my goodness. Hi. Oh my goodness. Is it pretty?
okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Very cute. She's beautiful. Some of us have lost animals, but then some of us have lost children. We've lost parents, your father. We've lost spouses, significant others. When you lose an individual that has been such a part of your life, and you feel that on a deep soul level, there's no other way than the loss of that affecting you on a level. I mean, I still know people that are grieving a loss. My mom was 14 when her mother passed, and the passing was decided. It was chosen. It was a suicide in 69. So my mom won't go to grief therapy really because of the pain of what that grief may even be like. And I think that there are a lot of people like that. Brad, his mom, I mean, it's been 14 years, 15 years. I might be wrong. I'm sorry, babe. But when that individual is so much your sunshine, your protection, your source of life, when we lose that, sometimes there are reasons we must reach out for help. Sometimes we need that support system. You couldn't get through this with Molly without that.
I'll be honest. I'm a little bit on the different side when it comes
Yeah.
to stuff. It was great to have friends reach out. How do I say this without sounding horrible? Having so many people that care about you, though. We're talking in the hundreds and hundreds. After a while, you kind of just want it to go away. You know, and people mean well. They absolutely mean well. And I'm not telling people that I'm not grateful for their love and their support and their well wishes. But when you multiply that one times, 500, 600, 700, and you're constantly reminded about it for 2 or 3 days, it's hard to escape it. It's hard to get away and kind of heal. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it does. I mean, I think everybody experiences those different emotions differently.
Yeah, I mean, it was great to have. There are folks that are in your life on a daily basis. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. Is there's folks that are in your life on a daily basis, and those are the people that you want to hear from in a time like that.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's what I'm saying is, okay, we did the mental health episode and we talked about depression, right? When you're clinically depressed, which often can come from grieving can absolutely induce depression, understandably. I mean, you don't want to leave your room. You don't. Sometimes our closest people, the people that love us the most, have to step in because we have to get some kind of help. And I'm not saying you're in that space, but I've known people curled into balls, for days, not eating, not sleeping. Grief and loss transform us, and not always in the most comfortable of ways. Yeah, suicide, God. I've avoided this topic like the plague for 12 years. And I know Deb knows why. Because from this side, it's very different from that side. Thomas asked a question earlier about being the empath, where you're going through your own stuff and you can't help others, or you kind of are a hindrance to others. First and foremost, just because you're an empath doesn't mean you have to help anyone. There's a very fine line between empath and codependent. We've got to be very careful with that. And more than anything, you must use the empathy towards yourself first. So that goes back to that nurture. What you would do for others, do it for yourself first. You need that. Yes, I've been going for months, not sleeping. I can't imagine. You said you were adjusting. There's a hole in the family. There's a hole now. And I'm very lucky to still have my parents, despite what I might have said when I was 16. My siblings, knock on wood, 2 of my siblings, one has COVID, the other one just got through it. I can't imagine that level of loss. I can't imagine losing my husband. Okay. So, all right. Sorry, I get real emotional. About that. Yes, we can't help those. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm so sorry. We can't help those who don't. Well, that's also hard. Yeah, we can't. I mean, here's the problem. Some of us get so used to our pain that we believe that is the only reality there is. So when it comes to healing, actually stepping into our healing, sometimes subconsciously we're afraid of letting go of something. I am a firm believer of grief therapy. I do believe some levels of therapy with a reputable trained professional. It's really important. But even with Reiki energy, you cannot force a soul to receive help if they don't want it. I am here for you any time of day. Oh, it helps me feel better also to talk. Yes. There's not one human being that I know, except him when he wants to be left alone, that doesn't legitimately want to be seen and doesn't legitimately want to be heard. I'm valuable, I'm valued, I matter. What I'm going through hurts and I matter. So
there are times, like, especially after events where, and I don't talk about it, but being an empath, now that you've outed me, being an empath and the kind of events that I do, it can become exhausting by the end of the weekend.
Right.
So there have been a few events where I've gotten home and I've completely emotionally shut down for about 2 weeks. And that happened in March after the Michigan event.
I can imagine.
And you couldn't understand why I was so mad at you, but you didn't understand I wasn't.
Oh, what happened? What are you doing?
But
yeah.
You to get away.
Decompress.
Yeah. Because you take on everybody else's energy, and sometimes that energy is not good.
No, but that's my point, is I was an empath my whole entire life, and I always felt like I was wrong. I was feeling way too much. I was here at the wrong timeline. Something was way off. And I had to figure some stuff out. And that's when I discovered what an empath was. And since then, I've written a workbook on it. I mean, you must love your inner empath. If you're a diabetic has to take certain insulin, or they have to watch their sugar. An empath has to take care of their energy, because you will become drained. I can't go into large crowds without feeling who's being molested, who's lying, who's cheating on who. It's horrible. It's horrible. That's why I go to Epcot. I go through England and I get a cider, which really is not the best way to handle certain things. But it's very difficult to be around so much energy. Sometimes I equate it to a nerve of a tooth exposed in the air. You feel that to a degree that it's almost like gut wrenching. It's hard. I mean, you're going to walk right into all the vibrational shit, Tim, that other people aren't willing to process.
I'm a diabetic and an empath, and how I've dealt with everything the last few days is, in the last 2 days, I've ate an entire pumpkin pie, which is not good for me.
No.
It's not good for my titties. And
or mine.
Well, me eating that pie is not going to affect your titties.
But I'm an empath.
Yeah, I've like I said earlier in the show, though, I have a sense of peace and a sense of calm, and almost a sense of guilt that I'm not more sad. But I can't help but be I can't help but be incredibly happy for Molly that she's not in pain anymore.
Oh, God bless you.
And that she's with her boy. And everybody get ready to send out Tim alerts. Honestly, a small part of me is jealous of Molly. Because I kind of wish that was me. I kind of wish I was walking around with him, and he was showing me everything. So, yeah, but one day.
One day.
But yeah, I'm so happy for her. And honestly, I'm already at the point now where I can see a picture of her. I can smile. There's a picture that Todd took about a year and a half, 2 years ago, where Molly crop dusted him. And it was so horrible. And she turned around and gave him this side-eye grin. And he caught a picture of it. And it's one of my favorite pictures because she's got this look on her face like, I got you. And we laughed so hard at that. She did these wonderful things that you just miss now. Like, she couldn't come up on the couch unless she walked over you to get to it. She had to walk over you on her way up to the couch. And he used to be so annoying, but now it's like I would give anything for you to walk on me and then crawl up on the couch and lay next to me.
But how great to you know, there's that saying, to have loved and lost is better than to have never loved at all. That's a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah. And that only allows to people. That only pertains to dogs, not people.
Well, true. Well, I mean, I don't know true, but I would say I wouldn't change anything. I just wouldn't change anything. You know, you hindsight's 2020, but people, places, and things made me who I am today, you know, and small circle is good. And I want to say something, Deb. Most people would probably, and I think, Deb, you said it's very odd, but I am a people person, but there's nothing more that I crave than my space, my quiet. Sometimes even the energy of the phone hurts. I know that sounds odd, and I love my friends more than they know, and I have guilt going on there, you know, like just being a girl and chatting. Because of my work, I feel like I don't want to, and it doesn't mean I love you less. And Aaron, I know you know that, and my friends are pretty understanding, but you know, sometimes the world, I feel energy right now is so tender that it makes a lot of sense if we're feeling so much, because so much is really rocking and rolling right now. Isolating and being a little bit of an introvert, it feels good. It feels good. Sometimes after events, I want to go right back to my hotel room. Give me my pajamas and some food and leave me alone. You know, Brax and I always joke about our bubble. This is our bubble. And it's just the two of us and 5,000 cats. Something someone said about Karen. I'm an empath diabetic and have cancer. God bless you, woman. Thank God for my fur babies. Years ago, Spirit said to me, because I started asking tons of questions. And Spirit said, animals are earth angels. I'm like, duh. And no, literally, it's as if they can sacrifice a life to step in to teach humanity how to love. And my first thought was, well, what happens if the human being hurts them? Well, they pass away, they come back to me. That's why it's a sacrifice. How great to teach humans how to love. So I have to say, I've learned a lot of love through all of the animals I've had. And your animals, being an empath, you can actually, people are in love with Molly and Murray and Bo because it is so easy to fall in love with animals and you can feel it. All right, Michelle, I'm an introvert. Yes, girl, I've been MIA for a few weeks. Yes. And it's so hard because I love people, don't get me wrong. But I like to be in my own Zen space, my own creative space. Jenny, that's exactly what I did after the event on Saturday. Event over, Jenny out. Amen. Oh, Deb, yeah. I have... Yeah, I wonder if most empaths, especially a medium as well, are introverts who love every being so much. I honestly feel that's why we have all congregated right here tonight in this little chat room on this podcast. It is like attracts like. Tim, you're right there in the middle. Look at that. You're in an empath sandwich.
It's very odd because as an introvert like myself,
Bravo.
little known fact about me, I'm not a real big fan of people.
But that's what we're all saying. It's interesting.
No, like people in general, not my friends, not my circle, just people, because they can't stop being shitty to each other. Like they can't physically do it. And they don't realize that while they're arguing their point, they look just as bad as the person that was arguing the opposite point.
Yeah.
And they both look silly. They both look ridiculous. but both sides are convinced that they're correct, and they're fighting the good fight. But
But
people,
how great for you to see that, though, because you're not in that. I think all of us were there at a point in time. At some point in time, we've all been there.
yeah, I point back to my early to mid 20s all the time, and I was a shit human being. I really was. I mean,
Yeah.
I will I will own that. People that only knew me from 20, 25 years ago, yeah, they probably think I'm a horrible, horrible person. Something just fell behind me.
I heard that. When you keep in mind, hi, Lisa, I love you. There's so many beautiful people on here who have lost fur babies and loved ones and siblings. And all of us are in this beautiful space tonight in that vulnerability.
Nothing fell.
Nothing fell. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Was your side, not mine. So
yeah. Oh, I heard it behind me, but yeah, nothing fell. Anyway.
What are some really healthy bits of advice you could give to people who are in that space, hanging on to reality?
Do what makes you feel healthy. Don't worry about anybody else. Concentrate on your own well-being, and no matter what it is that makes you happy, surround yourself in that. That's the best advice I can give, because you're going to reach out to people, and people are going to have different bits of advice and tell you what they think you should do. But all of that is not necessarily what's good for you. Find what's good for you. That's up to you. You have to want. There has to be a want inside of you to not feel like this anymore. And there is. You just got to find it.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, that want. Some people who are in such a dark space. Okay, sleep deprived. You've got people who are grieving who can't sleep. I have people who have cried so much that they're so numb they can't cry anymore. You get to that spot. I'm not trying to throw off your advice because I did ask. I think it's phenomenal. I just feel like there are a few people listening or maybe listening upcoming that need to know they are not alone, and reach out if you need help, if you can't find that want, and that's what's scaring you.
Well, that's kind of the point I'm getting at, though, is if you're reaching out to people, accept the help, accept the advice, accept the intent to be there for you. Don't constantly push people away. Reaching out is the first step. Accepting the help is the second. And really what it comes down to is it's up to you to find something that brings you joy, brings you happiness, makes you want to be here. And it could be something so insignificant to other people. It's so simple. Michelle made a point. Imagine what we could do. No malice, no hate, no drama. Shaking my head. Honest to God, that makes for a really boring world for me. I like that everybody's different.
Yeah.
I do. I like that everybody's different. I just wish they could treat people better. And there's never going to come a time when we all agree on everything and everybody's happy. And yeah, I mean, that's a great dream, but it's
well, and that, I think that's where, imagine all the people living life in peace. It reminds you of the John Lennon song,
yeah.
Instant Karma. No, but it is true. Anyway, I do believe we get to a point where we have to let go of what we cannot control, including the state of the world, each other. I mean, I watch mothers beat the crap out of their kids in public, and it's like, I'm going to go to jail. And this kid's not even mine. I'm going to whoop her ass. No, but you want to, I'm always for the underdog, especially if it's an animal or a child. Mm-hmm. So, you get to a point where, like you said, you're watching two people argue about the same thing. I mean, there are full police departments that will not step in. You can't step in and do what other people aren't. Does that make sense?
This day and age, if you try to step in and you do the wrong thing, you get sued.
Right.
I want to address Danielle. You just put it up on the screen there a little bit ago. Anybody that is telling you to forget your husband is not worthy of your time.
Amen.
There, I said it. You take as long as you need to grieve your husband, and then when you're ready, you're ready. And if you're never ready, that's okay too, because that means that you loved your husband unconditionally, and you miss him incredibly, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. So the people that are telling you to forget your husband, they don't deserve your time. That's just me. Sorry. I get angry when people say that.
I agree, because what that's going to do is that's also going to inflict additional pressure and guilt. First of all, guilt is never of God. Higher power, source, Allah, whatever your potent being is. So anybody ever feeling guilt, unless it's over a brownie you should not have eaten, or that you're not breathing and meditating, just kidding. It's important that you realize your best interests may not be their best interests. And that's definitely not who you want in your core team, your support. Like Tim said, I only have a handful that I really let in when I want to isolate. We should have a very healthy core support center, team.
Yeah, a handful is really exaggerating. That when I'm in, like last March, when I was in that spot where I wasn't talking to anybody, I was talking to Todd. That was it.
But that's still really good.
Yeah, not even my mom. I was talking to Todd, and that went on for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I was not a happy man. Things were not good in my life, but I'm sorry if I came off as preachy, Danielle, but I just think it's really important that you understand that you take as long as you want to grieve.
Amen.
Don't let anybody else put a time limit on that.
No, and you know, you've got to understand, so many of us, you have to consider the source. It's like people that want relationship advice and they go to people who can't maintain a healthy relationship. So, you know, if you want advice on how to get through this, or just to deal, not get through it, reach out to somebody who's done it and seems to be balanced, seems to be okay. You know, it is hard because we're telling people to reach out for help. And I want to say something right now. There's a lot of non-help coming from healthcare. I've watched a lot of people. I've watched a lot of people die to live. I come from healthcare. So if you're reaching out to your doctor, or you're reaching out to a therapist for mental health and you're getting nowhere, and you've reached out to your insurance company, your well-being is so important. Don't stop. You can immediately go to, the insurance board. You could go to the state board of insurance in your state. There's a lot of different, reach out to me and I'll put resources together. But just because a professional says no, I've seen a lot of professionals who have no business helping people heal. So please don't stop. You'll know what good feels like. Aim for that, please. I've just seen way too many people in the field, in the place of power to help, and they completely abandon. So that's where I get preachy. I get real pissed. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of corporate America. I think it's a very broken system, and I've seen very innocent people be neglected. And then they watch a show like this and they say, well, screw my life because I've reached out. So maybe I'm supposed to suffer.
I reached out years ago, and I went in and I talked to a counselor, and that counselor laughed at me when I brought up the fact that I do paranormal investigation. And I walked out of there.
Been removed from his profession immediately.
It was a woman, and she laughed at me.
Ooh, that's horrible. I automatically assumed you were talking to a man.
Yeah, and I got up and I left, and I never went back. So that type of thing isn't for me. So that's not the route that I suggest, because it didn't work for me. But I can only go by what I've experienced, And I'm not saying reaching out to a professional is a bad thing. I'm just saying in my case, it didn't work so well for me. So yeah, I mean that's
what frustrates me, because you have people that turn to drinking, or you have people that turn to really unhealthy ways of coping. And it breaks my heart, because there are good therapists out there. That's why I said a reputable one. I mean, unfortunately, that might be the only window of time that person has before something is done. Mental health isn't a joke. And it is a great thing to go into right now, because we are talking about loss and grieving. And I've seen a lot of people not want to be here. And you were the perfect example when you said, I wish sometimes it was me meeting Murray, not Molly. So
that's just raw honesty.
But that's what is so beautiful about being real, is I think so many of us have thought at one point or another, this is too much. I can't do this. I can't do this. So shame on the professionals who hold space for people who take advantage of their vulnerability. Absolutely shame on you. I spent 30 years in unhealthy coping mechanisms. It's a struggle every day not to go back to that. Amen, girl. Amen. Just for today. Our para peeps are my biggest support. Oh my God, my para family. No kidding, Deb. No kidding. There's Christina. Good evening, my love. I had to leave the healthcare because I couldn't watch what was happening. And what's funny is all of us escape our reality, and we end up at events like Autographs for Pooches, because it brings it all back together. It brings it all back together. No matter what, there's your support system. Deb's right. The paranormal field, some of those individuals have been really family. How are you, my friend?
Are we talking to me?
Yeah, because Lawrence to your left doesn't have a mic on. Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm a little distracted this week because I do have Ray in the room with me. But yeah, I think I'm
Amen, Deb.
I think I'm okay. I just sadness isn't depression.
Amen. Yes.
Sadness isn't anxiety. Sadness doesn't make me think, God, I don't want to be here. Sadness is an actual human emotion, and it's normal and it's okay. And if you got to meet Molly and now she's gone, then if you're not sad, there's something wrong with that. So, but I also smile a lot. So I can tell you this: when Murray passed, there was no smiling. When Murray passed, there was not sadness. There was dark depression. But knowing that he has Molly and they're fine is the only thing I needed to hear to feel better about the situation. I've said it before in the show that I don't really pray to God. It's not that I don't believe in God. I don't really pray to God, though. When I ask for things, I ask Murray. That is the pedestal that he is on for me. So Molly is with Murray. So in my mind, nothing is wrong. In my mind, Molly's with God. And that is the pedestal that I have my boy on. And if he's ever wondering how much I love him and how grateful I am and how wonderful I think he is, that's the best analogy that I can explain it. He's to me, he outranks God.
Wow. And that's believable.
Yeah, it's just, I can't remember the last time I prayed to God. Even when Molly was sick, I'd go to bed and I would say, Murray, you got to let me know what I'm doing here.
Well, he's your higher power.
That's the dude that I look to for guidance, and it'll be that way until I am with him again, and we are partners, and we're walking side by side.
Now, you and Murray just reflected exactly what Michelle was trying to say earlier. In a world where two people legitimately love each other so much that each of them believes the other is God. Think of that. I think that's a great way to wrap the show. That's how powerful love is. Look, you never ever expect it to happen until it comes and it bites you. And then that is all it took. One look at Murray's eyes, one moment of sharing, passing gas with him, and voila.
I've never known that love outside of him. Unconditional, pure, and never ending. So
that is God's love. That is exactly God's love. So if we can, each of us, try a little until next podcast, next Tuesday night, just try a little to see the God in someone else. I'm not saying the person beating the girlfriend, try to see something. Please, I mean, at this point, we know the difference between wanting to cram someone's head into a toilet bowl and flushing it because they bagged our eggs wrong, and understanding that the person that bagged our eggs wrong is just 19. I think we all have to wake up to love, because this life is short, at least this lifetime, and we only have a very short period of time to love each other. That's all. In none of my readings has any loved one ever come through to throw guilt, to make someone feel bad or ashamed. They always bring up the most embarrassing moments, the funniest of moments, the things that made each breath matter. And I think Deb can agree. I'm not saying we have some rogue readings, but overall mediumship is them coming through saying, you changed my life first. All right, my friend, you take care. I would say I would grow facial hair to support you, but
I'm actually cutting this off after Old Mill Parafest.
Wow.
I promised my boss that I would cut it for November, No Shave November, and cut it into a Fu Manchu.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I am going to make sure that no female will ever be interested in me again.
Did you ever see the Wanda Sykes one where she says that that's why she doesn't shave her rear, because that's supposed to look spooky? Anyway, we're going to leave that alone. We're going to close it off tonight to keep your area spooky. All right. I want you to know, Tim, that it's okay
not to be okay. You guys take care of each other out there, love each other, and try to find the good in people this week,
including yourself. All right. We love you all.
Woo! I'm going to go lay on the couch.
Okay. Okay.